awesome show will inspire you to pick up yourself and go. You will find it's all you need to do. Reach down inside and find out you're the one. You don't want to fly, yeah. You don't want to read, yeah. You can do all things, just choose it.
Blessings, blessings, blessings to you. Come on in. Come on in. Today I have Author Thalia Autry. But before I bring her on, I would like to ask you to please share, like, tag, even go live, comment, and subscribe. Hello, Thalia. How are you?
I am doing great, Nisi. How are you?
I am doing well. I am doing well. I'm so excited to have you here today,
Yeah.
neighbor.
Yes, as kids, next door neighbors.
Yes, yes, yes. So tell the audience a little bit about you, Thalia.
So I hail from New York. I currently am in the Atlanta area. Been a long time since you and I have been in cahoots, and since
Yes.
then I've raised 5 children,
Wow.
4 boys.
Good.
The second oldest is my daughter.
Mm.
I really love having family. Family's a big deal to me,
Oh, yeah.
but really enjoy the freedom of adult children.
Right.
you know and in between that, I am an animal lover, so I have a few turtles and tortoises, and I have a
Wow.
dog and a snake, right?
Wow.
And in my free
My.
time, how I earn my money is an accounting consultant, and I'm creating a business that allows me to work wherever I have access to internet,
Okay.
right? Yeah.
Okay.
So a really, really good time, you know.
Good. Good. Um, what is erasing color lines?
It is a movement. And the intention is to disappear racism, not fix it, not change it, but to totally, at some point in time, there will be the question, what is racism? And I know that sounds kind of crazy, right?
No,
Something that, no, it doesn't.
no,
Oh,
it
that's
doesn't
that's
sound
good,
crazy.
Nisi. I'm not used to that response because usually the thought is that people can look and see historically how no matter what we've done, right, we've been able to get rid of some aspect of racism, but
Right,
then racism continues to sprout up looking differently, right?
right,
So it's like this continual struggle. And
right,
there's a tendency to believe that it's something inherent in our humanity that we'll never ever be able to get rid of. That the only thing that we'll ever be able to do is survive it, right? But I am here with this movement to educate people of a mechanism that's responsible, that's internal to us and part of our humanity that gives the illusion that racism is permanent.
right, right. Um, so I understand that, but why did you create the movement?
Well, I grew up in the 60s, um, and I grew up with a mom who was an activist, a civil rights activist.
Yes.
And so she was always having conversations, and I knew it was important to her. And of course, it got ingrained in me that to become important. But what really happened was that I was about 6 years old, and we're like in the middle of desegregation efforts. And I'm getting shipped to a new school, right? From
Hmm.
a predominantly Black area to a predominantly white area. And I was really excited. you know, and didn't really get the world, saw it on TV, just never thought that it would impact me directly until we get to the school and there are tons of white people and police guarding us because they're threatening to kill us.
Wow.
Um, and being ushered to school, and then not only getting there, but not being allowed to sit in the classroom with the other white kids, right? That really had an impact on me. Um, my concern was, first of all, I didn't understand why I was hated.
Okay.
Couldn't couldn't even fathom it just being because of the color of my skin, right?
Right.
And then because I knew there was nothing really that I can do to hide my skin color, that I was always afraid.
Right.
Then you fast forward, and then I have four sons
Right. Right.
who, of course, pose a threat to everyone, right? So now
Mhm.
it's, what is this really going on, and what can I do to protect everybody? And is this something that I'm always going to have to endure, but or is it something that can be disappeared? And so then I started looking, right?
Mhm.
And discovered something that
What was that?
I know that there is, the way our brain works, it's based on past based experiences, and it filters how we perceive the world, right? And so there are views that we have that have been created. If you think of the history of this country and what our brain has been absorbed, um, and what we don't get is, without our input, our brain is taking in this information continuously, even when we sleep. And it doesn't even matter if it's real, right? And it doesn't even have to always be visual. It can be through writing, right? Or what you
Right.
hear, but it stores this information for our perusal. And what it does is, from the information, it determines what reaction is to happen based on a response. So we as humans normally think that we are autonomous, but we are way more automated than we can imagine, right? So when we have these views that normally we think we're just using in conversation, what we don't get is that not only are we using it in conversation, but it also shapes how we interact with the world. And the illusion is, because of the way that the view is structured, that whatever it is perpetuating, there's nothing else available. So if you can just imagine, there is a group of views that are responsible for racism. And the only thing available to these views is what created it,
Right.
right? And the only access that it has is to recreate what has made it. So that's why racism continues the way that it does, despite efforts to abolish it.
Right. Right. So, like, as a man thinketh, so is he, basically.
Exactly.
Right. Right.
Exactly. And what people don't get about, as a man thinketh, we think that we are aware of all of our thoughts, but we are not,
Right.
right? Our
Right.
brain is like this collection, this reservoir of thoughts that it actually uses. So, exactly.
So let me ask you this then. How is this movement different than other racial reforms?
So, normally, Nisi, if you think about it, what we focus on when we're addressing racism is what to do, right? So we are in the world of doing protest. We have
Right.
conversations and debates. We have um, movements um, and so forth, right?
Right.
What this how this movement differs is that it doesn't focus on what we do, but how we do it.
Okay.
So if you look currently, how we do it is in the same way that racism is done. Does that make sense?
Explain that. Explain it a little more for me,
So
for the
if you
audience.
imagine this, we have these seemingly permanent lines around race that define race, right?
Hmm.
And it pits one race against each other.
Okay.
If you look at anything that we do, it pits one against each other. So it's never the conversation is what can we do in a way that benefits all of humanity, right?
Hmm.
It's blacks wanting something, whites wanting something. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So it's not, so instead of actually eliminating racism, we are perpetuating it because we're playing the same game.
Right. Just differently.
That's exactly right.
Differently.
And we call it reform.
Right. Right.
And it's not intentional. It's like we don't even realize that's what we're doing. We honestly think that that is the way to get rid of and eliminate racism. But you
Right.
can't, but you're playing the same game, same rules, just different context.
Just different. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, racism, like you said, is historical. It's
Mm-hmm.
way back, it's way in, it was in the Bible, like with Moses. His wife was black and his brother and sisters, had a problem with it. So, but I just thank God for Jesus because he see us all as one. No matter
Exactly.
where you come from, what you've done, who you've done it with, the color of your skin, what country you come from, Jesus see us all the same. So that's why I love him so much. That's why I love him so much. So with your movement, who can participate and how?
So everyone that's interested in disappearing racism, right?
Right.
And anyone who is interested in learning how to be free from the shackles of racism and um, are willing to put themselves at risk. Because what we're introducing is much like, let's just say, during the time when everyone thought that the world was flat.
Right.
And here you
Okay.
have a group of people come in and say, it's round, right? And you know the resistance, right? Because people can point to the evidence that has existed that
Right.
says the world is flat. And in the beginning, they'll ignore, deny, and fight against any new evidence that points differently. So that's much the same that's going to happen inside of this movement, right? We are coming up against a paradigm that everyone thinks is the truth and there's nothing else available, and saying it's not the truth. We actually can live in a world that is racism free. So you have to have a thick skin in that battle,
Right.
right? You have
Right.
to be able to stand against the naysayers and the disbelief, right?
Right.
And people tend to be a little violent when you come up against something that they think is real,
Is
right?
right, right,
It occurs to them like a real threat.
right.
So that's probably one of the biggest things that people that take this on have to be able to endure and stand in faith, right? That
Hmm.
despite how it looks and it's despite what they come against, disappearing racism is actually doable.
Right, right. And what actually will the participants accomplish? The ones that participate in your movement, what will participants accomplish?
So, Nisi, generally, when we speak of racism, we
Right.
are looking for something outside of ourselves to actually make it happen. The surprise in this movement is that you get to transform yourself, right? And
Mhm.
then having seen this as possible and taking actions that are consistent with it, you get to enroll others, right?
Mhm.
In addition to being able to notice when you are stuck in something like it is real and nothing else is possible. So it's not only a tool that you can use in racism, it's a tool that you can use whenever you are in something that is unwanted. So they will be empowered in their own lives, not to just have to survive something and deal with something and tolerate something and become cynical and resigned about it. They actually can transform it in a way that empowers everyone.
Right, right. And it starts here. Your
That's
mind
exactly
have
where
to
it starts.
your, your mind have to be
Absolutely.
changed. Your mind. This is powerful. This is amazing. You are an amazing woman to, even, want to erase racism. We all want to erase it, but like you said, it's difficult. And some people are so used to the racism that they think that it's forever. And
Forever.
I
There's nothing
believe
else available. Yeah,
exactly.
there's
And for
nothing.
me, I know I always say this, I don't care what's going on in the world right now, today, but I know that God sits high, glory, and he looks low.
Yeah.
And that's what pushes me to keep going, because I know and to believe and have faith that there is a change. A change is going to come. A
That's
change is
right.
definitely gonna come. So when will your book and course be available to people?
January 2021.
Okay,
Yes.
okay,
And
okay.
I'm excited about it, Nisi.
Right,
I'm
right.
I'm
I'm excited
excited
for
to
you.
be yeah, I mean to be that kind of contribution,
Yes,
to the world and
yes.
into my own life, because even in writing the book, I have transformed into a person that I didn't even think was possible. You know,
Wow.
Here I am asking, when I first started, it was like, oh my God, I'm so tired of hearing about this. What is the world just crazy? They just don't get it. So I wanted to fix something, right? And then I
Hmm.
realized while writing the book is what I'm asking people to do and let go of. I hadn't let go myself.
Right, right,
You know what I'm saying?
right.
And it has just transformed me. Like I can't even look at my face. When I used to
Hmm.
sit around and I'm looking like this most of the time, I'm just so much free because now I have space for everybody's humanity, including
Right,
mine.
right,
So it wasn't like there was something wrong with them. And it wasn't like there's something wrong with me, right? It's just
hmm,
humanity that there is to deal with. And that's it.
right, right, right. Now you said that you have four boys and one girl.
I do.
how do they feel about it and about your movement?
They're used to their mother, right? I am always outside of the norm, always, no
Right,
matter what it is that I'm doing, no matter whatever I'm taking on, right?
right,
And so what can I say about that? They may be among the naysayers. We don't have
right.
those
Okay.
conversations, but they've watched their mother take on things, and things happen in a way that no one ever expects. So they have confidence in that aspect, even though at this
Okay.
point they may or may not be able to see it.
Right, right, right. When me and you first had the conversation, when you hit me up on Facebook, I wasn't surprised because I remember the first thing I remembered that y'all used to always wear, especially your mom, dashikis.
Yeah, yeah,
We used to always wear dashikis and stuff. So I knew y'all was so much into the culture. So I wasn't surprised, but I just felt it was amazing to me that you created this movement. It's powerful. It really
yeah,
is. And it will help. I know that it will help many people. And as soon as the book is available, I'm going to get the book and I want to take the course.
yeah.
I want to
Perfect.
take the course.
I am
I do.
excited for you to take it. I'm
Yes, I
and I'm
can
very
imagine.
interested in what you will discover. Because it's a discovery beyond racism.
Right,
So I use racism as the platform to disclose the mechanism,
right.
but it's the mechanism that's pervasive in everything that we do, particularly if you notice that there's the natural tendency for us to divide
Yes,
ourselves, right?
yes,
Us versus them,
right.
me versus you,
Yes,
right?
yes,
That's the natural tendency, and that
yes,
mechanism is responsible for it, right?
right,
And of course, that whole conversation is revealed in the book. But the truth of the matter is what we miss is that I am you, Nisi. It just looks like you. I'm not.
right, right. That's powerful. That's powerful. It really is. Wow. I am just like speechless because it's very, very powerful. And, a lot of times when you hear racism on, with other people, other races and stuff, then you think that you don't have racism in within,
Exactly. That's right.
but
That's right. But if you understood the brain and what it does and what it's been exposed to, particularly in this country, the United States,
right.
there's no way that you don't have triggers, right, that
Hmm.
are racist or race based,
Right.
that are activated when something racial happens. It's just
Right.
natural. And it's not like
Right.
there's anything wrong with us,
Right.
right?
Right. Right.
It's
No,
just, go ahead.
no, I was saying, no, you're right. You're right. And, you know, unfortunately, we have racism against each other too.
That's right, same brain.
Same brain.
The same brain, right? Because
Yeah.
it's the brain that is in this. I'm just say white or a non-black person's head. If we're exposed to the same information, it didn't skip and say, okay, I'm not gonna put that information in them because it's black, right? It collected
Hmm.
it the same way.
Right. Right.
So people want to point out that we do it against each other. However, right,
Hmm.
you can't escape it when you think
Right.
that the brain actually is the one doing it on our behalf, and not to excuse us or not, for us not to be responsible for it, right? Or
Right.
to be a victim to it, like there's no escape from it. It's just a matter of understanding it, so then you can be free from it, or you can create free from it.
Right. Right. Wow. That's powerful. And let me ask you this. I'm gonna sneak
Uh,
this in here.
what's that?
Where do God play in this in for you?
He's at the helm. You do you know I grew up in the church?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So he's at the helm, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
As a matter of fact, Nisi, I am not so arrogant to think that this idea came from me.
Right. Okay.
I do you
Let's
know what I
make it
mean?
clear. Make it clear, honey. That's right.
I just don't. As a matter of fact, even while I'm writing, I get stuck. I either say, God, give me utterance, or God, show me. Just show
Yes.
me. Right?
Yes. Give you
So
the
I
word.
know who is at the source of the voice and the work and the
Yes.
discovery.
Yes. Wow.
So this whole movement, as far as I'm concerned, is not a man thing.
Right.
It's a God thing.
It's right. It's more than you. More than
Exactly.
racism. Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's powerful. That is really, really powerful. Um, well, it's about that time for us to wrap it up. I'm telling you, I am just so excited to have you. And I'm going to have to bring you back on again once your
Please
booking
do.
course is here. And
Hmm.
it was great seeing you, and to all the audience, the live people that are watching live, thank you so much for tuning in. And for those that's going to watch the replay, thank you so much for tuning in. And I hope I see you next week, Monday, 8:30. Don't meet me here, beat me here. Okay? Thank you. Have a good night. Have a good night. Take
Love
care.
you.
Love you too.